Okay. So this is a story I haven't told my mom yet, so I'm sorry, Mom. And sorry if I have to go back and switch around the events because this was a long time ago. So there's a few main characters to this story that you have to know. One, there's me. One, there's my friend Emma, who's obsessed with cats. One, there's my friend Emily, so try not to get those two mixed up. And then there's my friend Melissa, and we call her Melissa instead of Melissa because there were many Melissas in my high school friend group. So this is Melissa, who's still my best friend to this day, and she's studying law in Madison. So she's amazing. So picture this, summer after high school graduation. And of course, summer after high school graduation, every single weekend, you have so many graduation parties to go to. So I'm the one with the car this weekend, so I'm like the designated driver, haul everyone around. So this particular Saturday, we hit 2 grad parties, and a few of my friends rode with me. And then we're going to another main character, Natasha. This is where it's her grad party, and she lived in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And so all her relatives are congregating here for this party, and they are going to get shwasted. Like, there are 3 kegs at this grad party. 3 kegs. And so us being really straight edge high school students, we're not going to drink, but we're going to go and we're going to spend the night there so we don't have to drive around in the middle. And so I am driving, like I said. And so I'm heading out there, and my friend Emily is like, I don't really know where I'm going, so I'm just going to follow you. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know where I'm going either. I had my sheet of MapQuest directions. I still don't have a smartphone, so we're just winging it. And we go out there, and of course, I take a wrong turn, and so Emily takes a wrong turn, and then in the process of getting out of that situation, we almost hit a motorcyclist, and Emily's freaking out, but it turned out fine, no one was hurt. We finally got to this party, and about maybe 2 hours in, the family is still on their feet, right? They're not all shwasted yet, but we're just hanging out, partying, having a good time. And Melissa has severe medical issues. And so when she feels like her body's starting to hate her, she has to take a fistful of medication and do some pretty intensive things. And since I drove, she comes up to me and kind of whispers in my ear, and she goes, I hate to say this, but I think you might have to take me home. And I'm like, all right, you got it. We'll get you home safely. And then about a half hour later, she's like, yeah, we need to go. And I'm like, all right. So I shove her in my car, and Emma, my friend Emma, is like, well, you're my ride, so I'll go with you. If you decide not to come back, you can just drop me off at my house. And then Emily, the sweetheart she is, she's like, I don't really know my way back, so I'll just follow you again. And I'm like, okay. So we start off, and at this time, my phone rings. And I'm like, I'm a good driver. I'm not going to answer my phone. So it's sitting in my cup holder, and I just ignore it. And then it's starting to get dark at this point, okay? Imagine balmy summer night starting to get dark. And we drive over this ridge, and then we see the fog. And when we drove over this hill, I looked out, and I'm like, that's odd. I don't remember driving by a lake on the way out here. And it turns out it was the fog. And we go down this hill, and this is the middle of the country, so the fog is congregating on the roads, and I am white-knuckling it through this fog, and Melissa is in my passenger seat getting worse and worse and worse. She's curled up in a ball moaning in my front seat, and I'm like, I can't go past 30 miles an hour because I'm sticking to the fog line, and my friend is going to die in my passenger seat. And so we go really slowly, and I'm still nervous about her, and it's not going well. And then a cat jumps out in front of the car. And I kind of swerve to miss the cat, and Emma, who's obsessed with cats, and Melissa, who's also obsessed with cats, start screaming at me to not hit the cat. And I'm still freaking out, white knuckling it, and I'm like, would you rather have me hit the cat and hit the cat, or do you want me to swerve and hurt you? And Melissa's screaming, hurt me, hurt me. And I'm like, fine, fine, next time. So we're going along, we make it a few more miles, and another cat jumps out in front of my car. And I managed to avoid it, thank God. I've never hit a animal with my car so far, knock on wood, when I get a chance. And so we're on our way. We managed to get Melissa back to her house, and we get her situated with her fistful of medication, and I just put her to bed on her couch, and she's doing great. And then we decide to drive to Emily's house, and Emily's like, well, I mean, if we're going to go back and stay the night, I'll just, like, grab pajamas, and then I'll follow you back. And I'm like, in my hometown, I'm like, well, you know, we're already here. It's a lot darker. The fog isn't as bad as it was. And I'm like, we'll just head back. It'll be fine. We've driven the road a few times, so we'll be okay. So we decide to make our way back, and we go really slow because no one's dying in my passenger seat, so we have all the time in the world. And on the way back, you know, I'm talking, and we're, you know, having a good time, going slow, making it through the fog. And then another cat jumps out in front of my car, and I manage to avoid this one. And then another cat jumps out in front of my car, and I don't know if they're the same cats or what, but we miss all the cats, so that's great. And then we get back to the party, and everyone is really, 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 really drunk. Really, really drunk. And, like, I didn't drink until the day I turned 21, actually. So I didn't have experience with alcohol. My friends didn't have experience with alcohol. So we're just, like, the sober high school graduates watching this train wreck. And then Natasha, who was there the whole time, goes to, like, talk to her aunt. And her aunt is, like, beside herself. And she's like, I can't find Chris. Chris is her husband. We're like, great. There's a drunk person missing at this party in the middle of nowhere. So we're like, we'll go find Chris. So we're searching, like, all the RVs. Like, that's how dedicated these people are. They brought all their RVs out to this middle of nowhere place to get drunk. And is that a thing that people do? I don't know. I'm not old enough yet. And so we're, like, running around this property searching for Chris. And this is in the middle of, like, fields and woods. And we're like, if he wandered off and, like, passed out somewhere, we are screwed. And so we check all the RVs. We check kind of around the perimeter. And we go where everyone parked their cars. And all of a sudden I see this truck with a light on. And I'm, like, just wandering over there. And sure enough, there's this dude just sitting in his truck. And we just knock on the door. And we're like, are you Chris? He goes, what? We're like, found him. So we found Chris. We get that taken care of. And then my friend's other aunt came across us when we were just making kitty cocktails. Like, cross my heart, hope to die, kitty cocktails, no alcohol. And she goes, oh, I see you started drinking. Like, really good for you. Oh, that's the kind of town I'm from. And we're like, these are kitty cocktails. Like, grenadine and 7-Up, like, don't know if you know that. And she's like, no, there's alcohol in grenadine. And we're like, no, there's really not. There's really not. And she's just, like, insisting that there's alcohol in this grenadine. And we're like, okay, like, got it. And then she leaves, and Emma is holding her kitty cocktail, and she goes, there's no alcohol in grenadine. That's why you can buy it when you're 4. We're like, good point, Emma. And so just this entire train wreck happens, and we're just watching it, and then we decide to go to bed. But as I'm setting my alarm on my phone, I notice that I have a voicemail from my mom. And I listen to it, and my mom, how do I say it? My mom is a bit overprotective. We'll just put it that way. And so I listen to this voicemail, and here's my mom on the phone, and she goes, hey, Megan, like, it's about 9 o'clock, and Dad and I just went outside, and we noticed it's really foggy out. So if you're thinking of, like, driving anywhere, we would rather you just stay at this place and, like, don't drive. And I'm like, sorry, Mom. So there you go.